Honorable, I mean, for you, I mean, your husband has said it from his side. What motivated you, for example, for you to also go into this whole war thing?
Let me say our generation of that time, I think, was very courageous. When I look back and I see the young generation of today, of course we're inspired by a lot of what was happening in Mozambique, as he rightly said. Mozambique in 1975, June 25, they regained their independence. MPLA in Angola got their independence, and some other countries up north who we respected so much were getting their independence. So the young people in this country started asking themselves, what is that we are waiting for? I mean, if these are the people who fought for independence and they've managed to get the colonizers away, we can sure do it. It wasn't easy. But the enemy, or rather the colonizer in this country, the white, they were really the majority, and yet they were so few. The black people in this country had no right. They were just considered as children. In this suburb where we are sitting today, I know the young people who were born after independence, they think it's natural to be living in this suburb. It's called Highlands. But the truth of the matter is, before independence, before 1980, this area, no black person was allowed to. After independence, our president, the former late Mugabe, he said, no, we need reconciliation. We need to just live together nicely. We didn't fight color. We fought for opportunities. We fought for our rights, and that's what we want. So, yes, I left at a very tender age. He was much older. He was at university. I was simply doing my Form 3. Secondary school. The third after primary school. Right. So it was at that school in the eastern border of the country. I come from Manicaland, which is the province which shares the more than 7,000 kilometer border with Mozambique. Okay. And so, not that I had ever met a soldier, I had never seen a gun, but what I wanted was opportunity. Even the church was also quite instrumental, because it was a Methodist, United Methodist Church school. And it continued to instill this confidence in us that you shouldn't be afraid of fighting for what is rightfully yours.
Which people were really managing the church? Were they whites or blacks?
Well, United Methodist Church is actually coming from United States. So but the people who were running this school were black people.
Oh, were black.
The bishop was actually, he ended up as one of those who was in an internal settlement just before independence. But he actually instilled a lot of confidence in us. And so we left school group when we left. So we walked from lunchtime to almost around 6 p.m. And at one time we thought, okay, we've arrived at the border, because somebody told us, you see something like a fence or something, and that will be the border of Zimbabwe, of Rhodesia and Mozambique. So we were excited, thinking we are now in Mozambique, and we were taking it relaxing. And it was right at the top of a hill. So as we were looking down in the valley, all of a sudden we saw truckloads of soldiers. And we looked, and again, and somebody said, what are these Frelimo soldiers? Then somebody said, we met somebody was walking, and he said, are we in Mozambique? He says, no, you are still in Zimbabwe, in Rhodesia. And he says, where are you going? Because they knew, because there were so many other children who had left school and using that route. So they said, do you realize that your life is in danger? Those are Rhodesian soldiers. So if you want to save yourself, if you want to continue going to Mozambique, go this direction. So he gave us the right direction to walk. So we walked until about 8 in the evening. By the time we got there, we had blisters on our legs. And this is for some, just a 14-and-a-half-year-old. We were all around 15 years. But we continue to say we want to get there. So around 8 o'clock, we were stopped, and we were stopped by a soldier with a gun, but didn't look the same kind of a soldier we saw in Rhodesia. So in the language, of course, when he started speaking, we realized this is not a Rhodesian. So we stopped and...
He was speaking Portuguese.
He was speaking Portuguese.
That means you have reached Mozambique.
We had reached Mozambique. So that's how we got to Mozambique. The story is for another day. I know Chris went through it, but it was a tough day. They looked after us. They told us how difficult the war was. They almost scared us to a point where they thought we would say, okay, if that is what the war is like, I'm going back. I've made a mistake. But we continue to say, no, we are so determined. We're not going back. We want to be trained. We want to get a gun. We want to go back and kill Smith. We want our black people in our country to be free. We want our people in Zimbabwe to be able to vote, because there was no one man, one vote in this country. So it was really a spirit that generation should inspire the other generations to come. Because there was nothing, a lot of people when they hear, oh, these are war veterans, or they went to the war, they think maybe we had nothing else to do, we were renegades of society, and we just were thinking that we are going. So really the idea was to go, get the Frelimo to train us, get the guns, come back home and fight the enemy. But anyway, from that day, the soldier said, if you are ready, fine. This is the Frelimo. We walked the whole day to get to a place called Villa Peri, which is now Chimoyo. I don't know how many kilometers, but I just know we walked from 4 a.m. and we got there around 8.
In the evening? In
the evening. And without any food, what I remember with blisters, would be crying. The good thing is we're wearing tennis shoes. We would be crying. We are tired. And the Frelimo say, this is war. We told you. We told you this is the war. So we walked. When we got to Villa Peri, we went to this camp he was talking about, which was a refugee camp. Remember, the time we went, there was a detent. So the war, there was a slow motion in terms of the war. So we went to this refugee camp called Nyazonya, where, what I remember is when you are filled with a spirit, when you are so determined,
become unstoppable.
You are unstoppable.
Absolutely.
This is one camp where when we arrived, everybody looked so scruffy and very thin because not enough food, malnourished.